Checking connection. Howdy do everybody. Another week, another movie. Gonna be kind of doing a slight intro here. I've got Monsters Incorporated this week. Thanks for tuning in. Let me see if I can get Mr. Sean on the horn. Let's see. You're gonna hear me talking. Probably see me pointing. Hi everybody. Thanks for tuning in on a Tuesday. Tuesday's a fun time to be doing this. Sean Beeman. Look at that.
How's it going, brother?
Good. I like that we're getting the hang of this. We're getting
Yeah.
quick. We're connecting quick. Before we get into the movie real quick, I think we're matching. Are we matching, Sean? This episode has been sponsored, or at least the the attire for this episode has been sponsored by Wan Apparel. It's a friend of ours who does a lot of fun pop culture stuff. We'll probably post a video with a link to everything. But this
It's
one,
a really sweet shirt.
it's nice. It's comfy. It's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of their Toy Story based ones. They do Back to the Future ones, Marvel, and everything. They're based in Northern California. Good stuff. So that's our apparel.
What was the name of the site for them, Marco? What was their site?
I think it's chosen1 WAN.com.
Awesome.
And with that, let's get into this week's movie.
With some Sean and Marco in the morning.
Man, a little bit of harmonizing over the live stream.
That's right. So this week we covered Monsters, Inc. Basically Pixar's jazz standard. Let's talk about it. Let's say, all right, well, I turned the movie on. I haven't watched this movie in it's probably almost been a decade since I watched this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as forgotten as A Bug's Life. Not nearly as forgotten. You know what I mean? It's because it's gotten the play. We got Monsters U out of it and everything, so we've seen a little more of their universe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely not. I don't know. It's not that I haven't had the urge. I don't know. I just haven't even thought about it in so long. So I turn it on, and within the first 30 seconds,
it's such a kinetic soundtrack compared to other, and it's Randy Newman still, and it's just like, it still has those touches of like the real lightly touched I don't know,
the horns.
Yeah, real light.
It's the horns, man. Telling you.
And then he just goes into these like full on like swing jazz, like real ensemble kind of pieces. And sorry, I interrupted your train of thought, Sean. But
so we get that first 30 seconds, we get that going, and then I don't know about you, but it really gave me some real Fantasia vibes right there. It made me feel like, remember when you were a kid and you're in the class, it's raining, and your teacher puts on Fantasia, and you get to Rhapsody in Blue, and you hear like all this dun 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 dun.
Yeah, that Gershwin, that real,
and it just fits, like you were saying, you know what I mean? And so like, with that, like the way that horn's going, a little clarinet or whatever it is, and the way the doors are moving, everything, it all just fits right. You know what I'm saying? It's the right music for the right tone. So we get that, and we see this little monster coming out this little door. We hear kids screaming in the little intro, and we get into that first. We kind of cut into it basically. We get the idea of they paint the whole world with the scene where the monster creeps into the door. He looks really scary. He opens up all of his eyes, puts his claws up, and all of a sudden the kid gets scared. / he gets scared, eats it, biffs it. And that's the beginning of our world. We get the world-telling experience with, remind me, Waternoose, right?
Waternoose is yeah, he's the main guy, but he's the main boss of Monsters Inc. But yeah, they do like yes they do.
Yeah, he walks in and he kind of paints the whole world of like how you touch a kid, you toast. Which who's the voice actor on it with him?
James Coburn, who did Our Man Flint. He was on, I want to say Gunsmoke, but he was on one of the Westerns, and
you can hear it.
Yeah.
So you could kind of tell right off the top, Pixar's done a really good job. If somebody sounds really eloquent and very well spoken and everything, they're most likely a bad guy in Pixar. And so, yeah, I mean, like as a kid, I feel like I identify that right away. Also, everything about.
Okay. I don't know what you were about to say was so important. It froze. Oh no.
it's all everything about him is very sharp. You know what I mean? You got Sully, who seems really soft and almost lovable when he's not like scaring and whatnot.
Hmm.
And then like even Randall, Randall's built out of circles for the most part. So like
Hmm.
he doesn't seem nearly as like he's not the big bad, which you find out later. So anyways, you get that whole thing. I love the way they go about explaining that. Did anybody see what he did wrong? Can anybody
Hmm.
tell?
And
Let's check the tape.
you've seen that in training. You've been in training. Anytime you
Oh
train
yeah.
someone, you're like, oh, what'd you do wrong? Think about this. And you're like, oh. I just think what's so wild about the world of Monsters Inc. Because I remember when I saw the trailer and I was like, Monsters in the Closet, that seems kind of fantastical. Like, I don't know. The movie came
Mm-hmm.
out in 2000.
2002.
So like I would say of the Pixar movies when they came out, like this was the first one where like I was too cool for cartoons, you know. And so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't pay as close of attention to this movie. Um, but I remember when I saw the trailer, it's like that's an interesting concept. Monsters Incorporated is a company, okay. And then I remember when I saw the movie, I was like, this is such a well thought out with the world building and everything,
Mm-hmm.
an energy crisis, and that's why there's monsters in everyone's closets. And I'm like, that's such a neat.
It got me thinking about the Pixar theory more as an adult going into this whole thing, the world building they do and all that.
Hmm.
And I mean, I could kind of see it being it could be the far off future where,
Hmm.
people are died off and this is the way that we go about, this is not humans, but this is Earth now. This is how it rolls. And they're using these time traveling doors to go back in time to scare all these kids. Like
Hmm.
it makes sense. I could see it.
Yeah, yeah. What a crazy cast. That I mean, like
Oh
we
yeah.
say it every time, but it's just like each time it's just like okay, Billy Crystal, John Goodman, James Coburn, Jennifer Tilly, Steve Buscemi, it just
So,
chugs along. There's so many people. It's like,
man, Buscemi once again just proves that he could straight up go down as like one of the top 10 actors of all time. Not just because like the couple of really great stuff he's done. It's
mhm,
more just like the catalog. Like
yeah,
he's
everything.
been so great in so many different types of roles.
Mhm.
This is basically to me, he basically dug up his old Con Air role and said, "Yep,
That's
bringing
me.
that."
Here we
Yeah,
go.
Randall. So,
Um, just trying to. I'm whenever I so this movie like I said earlier was when I was like tipping into like not paying attention to animated films as much and whatnot. And
mhm.
like one funny memory that I have of this movie is we used to babysit my younger cousin, and this and Pirates of the Caribbean were like his two top movies. And so
Mhm.
I've seen the first like 30, 40 minutes of this movie like more times than I can count. Like
Few
it's
hundred times.
yeah, it's a lot. And so I just like I'm like, oh, there's that musical thing, and oh, here's this shot that's really neat, and there's all these things that have burned into my brain because of that.
Mhm.
That I think it's really neat to view it from that viewpoint. But
Yeah, I mean, after seeing it 100 times, but you still had a good time though, right?
oh yeah, and like I just remember like that was back when like you remember when DVDs were like a fledgling thing, and they're like, let's stuff as many special features as possible, and there's like a
Yep.
pop-up version of the movie, and then there's a commentary, and I remember they had like I think there was a commentary or pop-up thing for this movie where they talk about like little details you're not going to notice, where it's like every building has like steel girders in it that are exposed because it can, support the weight of these monsters. All the buildings have like these real gnarly New York foundations on them and stuff. And it's
Well,
just like,
that's wild to think about. There's a lot that they really did phenomenal work with, and it's still what year do we say? Did you see what year it came out in? I don't have my laptop next to me, so sorry.
I don't, but
You
I can
know,
hear. Hold on, I can get
either way,
in the.
okay, that's fine. I don't need the information for it. What I really want to just comment on is just like okay, we've seen some really ambitious stuff going on in Toy Story 2 when it came down to the dog when the dog's up in your grill and everything,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And then like and this one I really feel like they took another step in Sully. His hair is got to be so difficult
Yeah.
to animate. And like I'm just watching it the first time through, there's probably 10 minutes where I didn't even pay attention to the movie. I was
Hmm.
just watching the way his hair bounced and moved and like how like they're not all perfectly the same
Yeah.
shape and everything, and like it just made sense. It was really good. Like I was sitting there thinking, man, it's like they stay ahead of the curve the whole time, And we got the CG thing, they're better than everybody at this
Hmm.
point. At this point today, I don't know if it's still that way. I just don't know. Maybe there's still the technology, maybe patents, I don't know, but it seems like at that point they really had the market on it.
Hmm.
Then on top of that, the cast, like you were saying, there's points in this where John Goodman, I don't know if it's the animators or John Goodman, where because there's times where he just doesn't say anything, and Sully's the puppet that is Sully reads so well,
Mm-hmm.
and by that when John Goodman's voice does chime in, it hits up that much harder.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm gonna jump forward way ahead for a
Oh, yeah.
little bit just to talk about it, but when Sully's trying to get back to Boo,
Mm-hmm.
and Mike is just trying to tell him that he hurts. You know, like I'm hurting. I need you to help me. And
Mm-hmm.
Sully says, "We don't have time." He didn't even say it. His body language says it.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a crazy like collaboration between like the performance and then the non-performance and the performance that the voice actor could give, and then it's just an
it
ensemble
all
thing
got
through
cooked
and
together
through.
so well. It
Yeah.
all got put together so well. So we got so we're going through. We get this whole world starting to get built. We know what the rules are now because of Water News. But the next part that I think is really cool, which you kind of touched on as well, is the walk to work. You get the walk to work, and you get this huge diversity build, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many cool, quick little gags. You know, you got the girls jump roping with the girl's tongue. You got when they're playing ball and it hits the window, but instead of it being a window, it's a monster's eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, when Mike from the very opening scene, Mike walks out the door, boom, and then Sully walks up the same door, but it's bigger, and he opens it, bam, and it's like the whole world is built because they
Built like
understand
that.
the four monsters. Yeah, it's built because no one's normal. There's nothing normal about the way this world is built. And I thought it was kind of funny too, the little Italian gag they do in there. Where it's like, why would there be Italians in a monster?
The
world?
grocery. There's
Tons. There's so many gags in this world. It's so fun, and like the thing that my eyes kept getting drawn to is like I truthfully think the last time I watched this was on DVD. So here I'm watching it streaming, and I'm like, oh,
I'm listening.
like here, like you can see, Pete Docter is a Disneyland fan.
A lot of the staff at Pixar and stuff, and it's like just in the room you've got like all these Disneyland attraction posters. When they go by the fine art building, I'm about 90% sure. I'm sure I could find a quick Google search, but I think like there's Fantasia concept art in the fine art. And it's like
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and it's like there's just little details here and there that are just so fun. But like, I forgot the name of the chicken, the big chicken. Fred. I want to say Fred. And what I think is
he
funny.
He gets there in 2 steps.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there going, okay, so he works at Monsters Inc. And I'm like, what does he do? He probably does like accounting or something, and he's just this big guy doing, and like the car too. You've watched the short, right? Have you watched Mike's new car?
I watched that short, but that's not the short before this movie.
No. Yeah, the short before this movie was
For the Birds.
A re-release. That's a good one. That's such a fun one.
It was For the Birds was cool. We'll go. Let's dive in. So For the Birds was rad. Okay, like it's classic scene of we all have that one friend that like you kind of have to explain before they come over, which I think might be me because I don't really.
We all do.
Yeah, right.
We're all like, that's probably me. I'm probably the weird one.
And that's basically what this. It's a short where it's about a big bird that's around a whole bunch of little birds that don't understand why the heck he's got to be so goddamn big. Why has he got to be next to me? And I mean, it's hilarious. It's wonderful.
I need to remember. I need to do like a fact check before I do all these things. I'm like, I think it was re-released or like updated and then put in front of
for
this.
Another one. I can't remember which movie it was. I was kind of bummed when they did that because I was like, you get so excited for these shorts,
Like,
and
yeah, I'm thinking it's Cars, but Cars had Bounden. No, Bounden was
Bounden was that's a really good one. I can't wait to get to that one. So For the Birds, it was a wonderful, quick little. It makes you giggle, basically. The mannerisms that the large bird had is quite funny. He just doesn't care, which is honestly, I think, kind of idealistic. I think we all kind of want to be the big bird when it really comes down to it, because the little birds, they just kind of looked annoying to me, to be honest. As much as the big one was, it's like
little. What's great is when they have those toys, they make that exact sound. I got them somewhere in here, but
they're the original Mayas. Do you think that's the inspiration for the seagulls? Mine.
I know, right? Pixar has a really good history of like crazy birds, Bugs Life, For the Birds.
Yeah, that's
Giant
one thing
chicken.
they really expound upon their ideas. and they had time to. That's one great thing about being a Pixar. It seems like. So going back, you were saying that in storyboarding, it seemed like you thought that they had like Fantasia stuff put up. That makes so much sense to me because it feels like this is the first time where music, even though it's not lyrically driven, it's the movie's almost completely driven by music.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
where there's in like Toy Story 1, we get a couple of scenes where there's just a real great marriage going on there. This one, it feels like throughout the entire experience, you've got just this wonderful score going behind it, making you just take it. It's like being on the people mover. You know what I mean? It's like this music is just kind of taking you along around this whole thing, and occasionally you're going to see some really crazy stuff.
Yeah. And then they get to this movie just chugs along, and it's just scene after scene of like just little iconic moments. And I don't know if it just burned into our brains or if it's just like, I don't know, just rewatching these again, I'm like, there's no dead space. And then if there's a scene that you forgot about, it's just a fun one. It's like the Monsters Inc. commercial where it's like, we've all been there, where someone's put something over your face. I can't believe it. I'm on TV like that.
I'm on TV.
I always joke that that's how, what was it? I think the last time we were in the Hollywood Christmas parade, it literally was like, you could see us behind another car. Like, yeah, we made it. Yeah, right there.
Here we are.
Right there. The scare floor and I think what's funny with jumping back to like the world building of the monster world is that like the thought of like, oh, these doors go to a monster world, it sounds so like fantasy based. Granted it is, but the fact that like when they get to the scare floor and you see that it's a well-oiled machine of like, yeah, we've got this to power this, and we've got this thing to grab it down, and it just seals itself, and they've got the like industrial grade, it's like a construction job, but it's like a performance. It's just this fun concept, and it just works. It makes sense.
Like if construction was like professional athletes almost.
Yeah. And it's like, I think what's great too is like the scream canister is just so iconic. That's such a neat thing. And just that scare floor scene, there's just gag after gag after gag where it's like, okay, so pause for a moment. So when they show all the monsters going into each of their doors, which entrance are you? Are you like, I know which one I am. And you're probably gonna.
I know who I am.
Okay,
which one? The guy who's he's got really long kind of arms and he puts a little finger like this. Right? Yeah. I'm the guy because I'm definitely the guy that comes out of the thing. She almost touched me, man. Totally me, 100%. I'm that guy, and because I think I'm Sully. You know what I mean? I kind of look cool and everything, but no, I'm not.
The one that called to me was the noodle arm. The blah, 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 as he goes into it. I was like, yeah, it's me. I'm gonna enter doing that, thinking I'm scared. It's like, got him. Got him. Come here, kids. It's noodle arm boy. Yeah, there's just. It's just the fact that there's a leaderboard, the fact that there's like 47 days since their last incident. There's the assistants. There's I forgot to mention Frank Oz.
It's so corporate. It's so corporate looking. It's really cool. I like that one, like the announcer guy. Basically, he calls it all out.
Oh yeah, he's like 7.
Yeah, dude. And he's got all those extra fingers. It's so good.
And it's a great gag. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, and all of it, if you pay attention, it's all still just world building. Every one of their gags is really just them taking their time, their exposition, and really explaining to you where you are. You know, and it doesn't take up time. That's the cool part.
Yeah,
like in a lot of movies you watch, where they're trying to explain to you, like what's going on in this place, and it just doesn't.
It's just someone taking.
Yeah, you're either bored or it's too layman's terms, and you're just kind of like, oh, that's just the rules. Got it. It's too much like the beginning. Water News explains to you the rules of the universe. Don't get touched by kids, and that's one sentence, and it's the entire movie. You know what I mean? And then from there, exactly, and then from there on out, they don't ever say it again. Really, they just show you. You know what I mean? Whether, like I just said, my character comes out, they almost touched me, or how's your guy? What's dude's name? What's the guy? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Is that Frank? I think that's Frank.
I forget his name already.
You're in the chat, and you know the guy's name. The 2319. You know his name. He's like a brother to me. Me and Bill. He's like a brother to me.
Give me another door. I'm on a roll.
That's Clark.
And it's like,
I wish Clark was watching this. That's Clark for sure.
The least cool guy. Yep, that's me, all right. Like, what's he do? Does he go in there and He sings like
Yeah.
old time jazz tunes. Oh
Like
no!
basically John Candy, the monster.
Oh man, God, imagine John Candy in a Pixar film. Sorry, like a couple
Oh,
days.
I know.
Somebody posted a couple days ago that it was the anniversary of him passing, and I'm just like, ah,
Polka
like,
King, man. Polka, polka, polka.
poke. Here, let me
Sorry,
sell you these
Home Alone
shower
reference.
rings.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
So good. Get some Uncle Buck on in here.
Yeah. Sully running around with a drill and a
I mean, you
hatchet.
think about it, man. John Candy could have done this John Goodman role pretty good. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It would have been. It would have been a different movie for sure, but it would have been really good.
And then
Let's take this out. I think I got some water in my ear.
no worries.
Anyways, so speaking of chugging along, we'll just keep chugging along. So we get to go into our first world. No, I'm sorry, we don't go into our first world. We see the leaderboard, and we kind of get the whole idea of it explained that Randall is this. We don't know if he's necessarily going to be the bad guy, but
He's a
know
rival at the very least.
Exactly. And so we got the leaderboard going. We've got our absolutely favorite. And I'm not talking about Schnuggly Bear. I'm talking about Roz. We get to see her, and you can't get through the movie without, because everybody, there's kids who've never seen this movie who do her impersonation. Yeah. What's else?
What's up, you didn't turn your paperwork in.
Having fun? And I would imagine you turned in your paperwork.
And then there's that line where Mike is like, the goldenrod ones go to Roz. This one goes. And then he goes, and don't forget the puce. And then he goes, oh, so that's puce. And you're like, what color?
Dude, look, fun fact, I'm colorblind. Okay. And that scene, it still gets me upset. Because what the heck is puce? And then they show it. And this is the part, I'm colorblind, right? So they got all these colors up. I can't tell what any of the colors up are. And everyone goes, oh, that's puce. I don't know which one of those ones is puce. I got no idea. I still have no idea which one's puce.
I should look up what color puce is. Hold on.
I don't want to know.
Let me see if it'll.
I don't want to know. I don't think it's real. I don't want it to be real. I don't believe in puce. Sorry, Pixar. Take that.
And then just what other? The CDA, Child Detection Agency, coming in, kicking in the door. I think it's great that it's just, like you said, the world building is built into the lines. It's great writing where it's just like, not them again. You like it happens with enough frequency.
100%.
And you're just like, oh, gee, these guys, and they're coming in with their hazmat suits and, like blowing up a sock.
But once again, another cool part about it, none of them are wearing the same outfit. Like, they're wearing the same colors. Every single one of them is a completely different outfit because they're all unique monsters, which once again, just the building of the world, just, it's great.
It's not just one type of monster that does it.
You get to see the outside of Monsters Inc. again, which is, it's vast. It's huge. Monsters Inc. is a very, very large corporation. It's not like, when you're driving on the freeway and you go by like a solar field or like Edison's, like, one of their like transistor stations or whatever. It's not. This is. I don't know how to put it. What would be the equivalent of Monsters Inc. in our world?
I mean, it's like the only thing I can think of that's like local would be like it would be like the size of like a military base or like an oil refinery. Like it's huge, and then it's tall and it's got all of like the energy conversion.
I don't think that's on accident either. I think when you say military base, I think that's pretty, not necessarily, because I feel like it's supposed to be just kind of inherently dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not for everybody. The few, the proud, the scared.
Yeah, I mean, and he says that. He's like, I'm not going back in there, man. You're going to go back in there. Yeah.
You'll get another one.
Because our society needs you. Because Uncle Sam chooses you. It's got that vibe to it for sure.
They keep the world running. And what else too?
So we haven't met anybody yet. At this point, really nothing's happened. We've got Schmuggly Bear, we've got Roz, we've got Waternoose, we got Randall, and we got our guys Mike and Sully. And they come off the floor, and we're supposed to have that whole. He's gonna go to dinner, but Sully saves the day because he forgot to file the papers. We get this whole abuse thing. At that point is where everything really goes off the rails. One thing you notice is that so far, Sully's been made out to be a very sweet character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though he's a jock. He's the big. He's literally. It makes so much sense. He's literally when people say, "Oh, he's just a big teddy bear." That's exactly the character that Sully is. you know. And so he's supposed to be like, you know, we all went to high school or college with that guy who was 6'6", was going to be an NFL player, but he also just was a dope homie.
Mm-hmm.
He was passionate or sensitive, whatever, you know what I mean? And so like that's essentially who we got with Sully, and it's very relatable. I feel like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because he's also so likable. So I feel like that's also a thing that like totally happened with us all in high school. I'm trying to think of who would have been with us. I can't think of who it is. I'm trying not to say names, so I'm gonna like be mean to somebody. You sent me that YouTube clip. Oh my god,
Some old videos. So Sean and I have been doing.
I'm happy Miss VG said no, man. That was, dude, hindsight 2020.
I was going through old YouTube videos, and it's just like Sean and I have been doing videos since like high school.
Yes, it's like 2006.
Yeah, and it's just like I'm thankful that I found the old YouTube, found my old passwords, and then made everything unlisted. Where it's like if someone asks me for a video and they're like, "Oh, do you guys still have that video from 15 years ago that we did?" Yeah, oh yeah, I think I have
No, it's gone.
Yeah,
Lost in a fire.
Gone forever. One of the ones that I have, I was going through and I forgot about it, where it was, you know, you do those mock. So like yours was for Mr. Griffin, like our Mr. Personality kind of thing, but then there was like the mock campaign videos you would do in government class, and there was like 1 year where I guess I did like 2 or 3 of them for people, and they're like 3-minute videos, and I just sorry, just those gags crack me up where it's like a guy gets like punched into a pool and it's like he's gonna be hard on crime, and he also likes babies and he kisses a baby and throws it off screen, and it's like pure Saturday Night Live like wackiness.
Love it.
But let's see. So we
get the character build of Sully. He's really, really nice and everything, and we get the door, and it's real ominous. This is one of the first times where the music kind of cuts out. You know what I mean? And you're kind of left alone, and it really feels like you're alone in space. Like there's nothing, and you hear Sully even kind of call out, "Hello."
Echoes.
And then he walks in the door. What do you got for me, Marco?
Just that it's an empty room. And there's nobody in there, and he goes, "Okay, well, I guess it's closed." He closes the door, and then he hears like a thud, like kind of an ominous thud, and then it's just his tail being picked up by a kid, and just the almost like Looney Tunes slapstick comedy that plays out of this giant, potentially terrifying creature being scared by a small child, and it's like falling over himself, and just like there's these moments in the humor where it's and the editing and whatnot where it just like puts it back in the room, closes the door, turns around, there. It's like, you know, and it's played like it's like the editing and the music cues are playing it like a horror film, but then you're laughing at it because of the absurdity of the situation. It happens a couple times. After like, you know, Sully puts Boo back in and he like falls over himself and he's like crawling to get out of the room, and he, you know, slams the door, runs away, throws all his stuff into the toilet, and you know
the toilet scenes were hilarious. Every time they go to the bathroom, it's like crying and laughter. It feels like
a little sad duck. But then too, like
man, and poor Paul, whatever his name is, it all got stuffed in his locker.
Yeah.
Poor guy, man. That's a great ongoing gag. Just the fact that every time he turns around, that by the end of the movie, when it's about to happen again,
he like throws it through the door. What I thought was great with that scene, though, when they're in the locker room, was like he throws it in the locker, slams the door, the music fades out, and he goes, "Okay," and the tension is dropped, and he turns around, and you just see Boo on his back, and then turns right, and it's such a great anticipation. You're going 3, 2, and then you just hear John Goodman scream and just run. Little bouncing kid running along. I mean, I'm sure those voiceover sessions must have been wild, because I think Billy Crystal and John Goodman were in the same. They were together when they did the recording. So like, I feel like half of the lines in this are ad libs, probably from Billy Crystal, but
they do a great job too. Okay, so so Boo, I mean, says so little. Right. I mean, because obviously she's a toddler. She doesn't speak very much yet. She only knows how to identify a couple things. Hence, she calls Sully Kitty. And like, it's like we all know that person. Like, I mean, we've all been that person, know that child, have a friend who has that child, who will walk up to a strange animal like a possum and say, kitty.
Yeah.
You're like, that's no. Do not go to the kitty.
Look at all the chickens.
Exactly. That's literally what it is. And it's great because, like, this is like, you know, when you're a kid, you feel like you're invincible. You know, you don't know it, but you don't even know what that means. You just, nothing, you don't know what, you know.
Danger? What's that?
You just feel like you don't know what the stakes are. You never learned what the stakes are, you know, and that's what we have here with Boo, and it feels like when you're a kid, you just end up getting, like, we're all here now. We made it. Everybody's got a near-death experience from before the time they were 12.
Yeah.
Just part of it, you know. It might have been climbing the entertainment center. It might have been when you jumped off the roof in the pool and you missed. It might have been when you thought you could fly and you jumped off the monkey bars when you were 5. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Flying off
all
swings.
those things may or may not have happened to me. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, Boo is another one of those things where Pixar kind of has, like, everything goes wrong in the right way for Boo, you know? And it's not the main part of the story at all, but it's just something you can kind of notice. Like, you know, Boo takes off all the time and is totally just A-okay. It's like when you have your toddler with her and you're about to walk across the street and all of a sudden baby just takes off the other direction of the parking lot. You're like, excuse me, no.
no, hold it. Great.
So gags, let's get back to it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let's go to they're in the sushi restaurant next, right?
Right, yeah. I wanted to jump back just like half a second and then we'll go right into Harryhausen's. So it's established that Randall is Boo's monster, assigned monster. And like I wanted to just touch on it because I feel like we would have some funny moments to talk about, but like what was your like monster fear as a child? What was your weird irrational fear? Did you have any? Was it more movie based? What was this? You know, like we can cover this real
It was
quick.
movie based for sure. You're not gonna cover it quick at all. No, we can digress a little bit here. I definitely let's see. There was movies that are now some of my absolute favorite movies. But like, and they're not necessarily scary movies at all.
Yeah.
They hit me. So Aliens used to scare the crap out of me, right? And I don't mean like Aliens like any alien. No, I mean like Aliens, the movie Aliens.
Yeah.
Used to just scare the crud out of me. I didn't know. Game over, man! Game over! I thought it was game over, dude. I was right there with you. They mostly come out at night. Mostly, like it still sticks with me, you know. And those aliens, the way they come out, oh my god, it traumatized me for years. And then the same thing happened again in Independence Day. And I just feel like, so for me, mine would definitely be something that has like humanoid / like Randall capabilities. And Randall would be pretty close to something like where my monster.
Gotcha.
What about you?
Like, you know what's weird is like I've like shifted in this thing where like I think when I was younger I was scared of animals, and now like not that I'm scared of monsters now, but like, you know, if I'm walking late at night, I'm not scared to see a dog or a cat. I'm scared to see another person in a spot where they're not supposed to be. But I would say like the two movies when I was younger, I mean, like I grew up watching like Indiana Jones and like, you know, hearts being pulled out of chests and like that scared me, but it was more of a gross out kind of thing. But the two movies where I was just like not a fan of these scenes, the mosquitoes in Jumanji, hated those. And for some reason, so like this is how my like 5-6-year-old brain worked, where it was like for the longest time,
for the longest time.
Man, we could start a Billy Joel, like, we could do a Billy Joel night.
Sorry.
No, we got to do karaoke, man, once the world opens up again. We'll do Billy Joel. Hi, everyone. Today we're going to do... so, like, I was always interested in the animals, but, like, bugs weren't my thing. Like, when I was, like, 4, I have, like, National Geographics here where, like, I would stare at the spider ones. And then all of a sudden, I just became terrified of bugs. And it's, like, the concept of them
I think that's
touching me.
normal.
Yeah. And so I didn't realize mosquitoes were small. I didn't realize they were very tiny. So whenever I saw mayflies, I think it's a mayfly, the daddy long legs with wings, the mosquito catchers.
Yeah,
I thought those were mosquitoes.
Got it.
And so I was always like, I hated those things.
It's gonna get me.
It's gonna get me. It's gonna punch its way through the windshield. Terrifying.
I think there's so many misconceptions, A, with that bug, and then B, I also feel like it's so normal for like all of us. Like when I was a kid, I used to play in the mud and just play with bugs like left and right, picking up worms and stuff. And you just like, you had a good time with bugs, no big deal.
Yeah.
And now like,
you're just like,
I just have a I don't know. I'm really fascinated with bugs. If you look at
Hmm.
my phone, you type in bug on the search or whatever, you'll find a lot of pictures and videos of them. I have a garden up front. I like just
Hmm.
kind of taking that kind of stuff. So I still like looking at them, but also I'm not nearly as like gung ho on picking up a bug anymore at
Let
all.
them do their thing, and like
Yeah,
that's
I
what
think
I'm
it's
always scared of.
gross. I'm
Like,
like,
what?
ugh. What if it
Yeah,
like leaves like a resin on me or something, or it's
yeah.
a stink bug, or I don't know.
Well, like even with like ladybugs, like I'll just be like, okay, well it's on my hand. I'm gonna tip my hand up, do, 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 boop, and it flies away. Because
Yeah.
before I'd be like, get off, get off, get off, and then it flies away, and I'm like, I don't know if I hurt it by shaking it, like, boom, you know. I mean, I had a couple times at work where like a bee would land on me. Never been stung by a bee. I've never picked a fight with a bee.
You know, honestly, yeah, bees get a bad rap. I've
Yeah,
never ever had I've never been stung. Actually, I have been stung by a bee one time, and it was when I tried to kill it, so it was my own
there was
fault.
this
So
time he was stealing my wallet, and I was like, hey, bee, you can't have
and I was
that.
like, ah, and I was like, you know what? Let me just poke him off, and I went to pick him off instead of
Mm-hmm.
like I was gonna kill him. Let's be real, I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna murk him, you know. And so, anyways, he totally went whoosh one time on me. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. We
That's
got
what you
each
get.
other.
And then the second, I'll keep this one short. We can get back right into the story. The second movie moment that scared me and stuck with me for a while was the terror dogs from Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like it was a mixture of like you watch that
Those are
movie now,
gross looking. They look
yeah,
like
and
the humanoid dog, bald,
things like they're
slightly
nasty
hairy,
looking.
gross, like they're all like slobbering on themselves.
Yeah, and it's like I think the thing that oddly enough with the movie where it was like all the other appearances of it I could stand, but the initial introduction of them, which is a great, great, great scene. Like
Hmm.
it's an
Those
amazing,
are.
yeah, it's like an amazing like horror scene within like a comedy. And it wasn't more of the it was the that creature, but
Hmm.
two, it was the concept of it standing in your doorway. And just like
Yeah, I hear what
anything
you're saying.
standing in doorways, I don't like because it's like no one stands in doorways. Nothing naturally stays in the doorway. It's a
Honestly,
passive.
man, if I'm being honest, man, I'm really scared of the gatekeeper. Are you the gatekeeper?
Yeah, it's um. Let's see what else too. Um, okay, so things that scared you, locker room, Harryhausen. So they go to the Japanese restaurant, which is a reference to Ray Harryhausen, who like did a bunch of stop motion, the Argonauts, the skeletons that attack people and stuff. So that's a great reference. Um, Actually made me really crave sushi. Haven't had sushi in a
Yeah.
while. You know,
It was kind of cannibalistic though to have the octopus cut the sushi. Just gonna say
yeah, a
that out
little,
loud.
a little bit of he's kind of like, oh, what am I doing with my life?
He cuts off his tentacle and just throws it in. Why not?
Oh, well, hey, chef special.
Hey, they grow back.
Hey,
I don't know why I went back to the Italian guy.
or on break, they all kind of scared. Um, so he's there. The concept that like Celia's hair is alive and can react with her mood is a great gag. I'm thinking
I
about
like
getting
the
it cut.
haircut.
Yeah. Oh no, I like your hair. Oh, okay. You know. And I think what's great too with that scene is it introduces like the tables are huge and like they're meant to accommodate different like you said the diversity of the sizes of the characters and whatnot. And like, but
Mhm.
I think it's great that everyone's
It
sitting
never
there,
stops.
yeah, and like it all that's going on, and then Sully just like crash lands into the booth, and he's still too big for the booth. He's just like
Dude,
flipping the table over. Hold on a second, the menu.
that reminds me I just remember like being in college and like, your friends talking to a girl and you're not. And so you could just, mind your business, or you could just run over there and have a really stupid conversation that's probably gonna ruin their chances with that girl. And this
Yeah.
is how you get to call yourself Logan Noblin and you can be my friend because that's what he did to me all through college. And it was hilarious. Anyways, yeah, no, wonderful. How he's trying to be nonchalant and inconspicuous with the fact that he's got a child with him that he didn't even zip up.
Yeah, he
So,
just scooped her up in the duffel bag, and
yeah, but so good.
I would carry that like separated from that scene. I would carry a duffel bag like that. That'd be a cool duffel bag to have. I'm
Oh
surprised
yeah,
no one's
definitely.
jumped on that.
Especially because it seems like it can be very. You can make it pretty oversized and be pretty cool still.
Yeah.
Because I feel like one of my issues is just too small. So hi, mom.
Um,
My mom's in
Boo
here. Marco,
escapes.
say hi.
Hi.
All right. So Boo escapes. Boo starts boogieing across the floor, much like toddlers like to do. Or if you ever tried to give a cat a bath, that's basically what we got going on here. Boo's running across the floor. We kind of start getting a couple more gags going on where Boo's now introduced to the monster world and everyone's freaked out. And what's Boo's first words to the world, Marco?
Boo.
Boo!
In that exact tone, boo.
Yeah, so
Very
good.
tone.
That'd be so funny if it did just come out and she goes, boo.
Boo, y'all. Sounds like Sam Elliott with a big mustache.
That's so good. So everyone starts taking off running. What I dig about this scene right here is the realism in the sense that if you've ever been in a situation where you and your friends all see a car accident or something, everybody sees something totally different.
Yeah.
You know? And then somebody just wants to be on TV. Yeah, he picked me up and shook me like a dog.
I was there. I saw the whole thing. The guy with like 50 eyes. The professor on the screen where he's like, I would say it's the perfect time to panic. The timing of the television falling over. God, just that whole scene of just them figuring out solutions to Boo using only spoons. Well,
it's so Billy Crystal.
Yeah, we'll release her to the wild. There's a line that I completely forgot about.
You know, Pixar at this point, I don't know if they can't really do what they've done in today. I'm trying to put it right. They've got a lot of humor from yesterday going on in their movies.
Yeah, that
is not going to be as readily available in the coming future.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that puts a timestamp on Pixar or how they're really going to adapt. I mean, like movies since like Coco and stuff, you don't really have too much. You don't have the need for older comics as much, but also like there's just so much of just talent.
I mean, I think they're always going to be pulling from like a pool of veteran actors, and I don't think that the line to be in a Pixar film is short. But like, I think like I'm not sure like how much room they have to ad lib, but it seems like the earlier films they're definitely like, yeah, put that in there. Like if it helps the character, it's like I feel like half of Mike's lines, Mike Wazowski's lines are ad lib.
Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. There's no way they wrote that. There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
And then
put that thing back where it came from, also help me.
The line that gets me is when Mike, like, I'm 100% Mike sitting at a table drawing things and throwing them out and stuff, coming up with ideas.
And I'm totally solely just bugging the shit out of you, man. This is actually not a biographical Pixar Planet Truck, Pizza Planet Truck.
I just love the line where he goes, oh, Mike, I think she's getting sleepy. He's like, well, maybe you should find a place for her to sleep. Well, I think of a place. Just like, so great. Like just the shit.
Hey, Marco, I think the guys are getting hungry.
No. Food. We have no time for food.
Oh, man.
So
we got Billy Crystal's over here about to spoon his way out of the whole situation. Meanwhile, Sully's trying to keep Boo away from spooning with him to go to sleep. I feel like that's totally exactly what happens if you ever had a dog and you make your dog a bed and it looks like a really nice bed and
while you're making the bed
and you turn over your shoulder and who's under the covers and you're like, how'd you get under the covers? You're a dog. And it's the dog's like, what's up? This is my house now.
You are the dog now.
All right. And as an owner, you realize in that moment that you don't own a dog. A dog owns you.
and just let's see, scene progresses. He goes to sleep. They introduce the concept of scream and laughter as power, or not introduce, but like show the real world.
Yeah.
Like,
no. Once again, they show you. They don't have to say anything.
Yeah. Whatever.
The words to explain it were, "Whoa."
Mm-hmm. What happened there? Well, whatever it was, I hope it doesn't do it again. And just I tell you, okay. So I'm gonna assume that while Mike and Sully cohabitate, I'm going to say it's Sully's apartment because everything's large. I'd be a great space. That would be a fun space. Exposed.
I don't know if it is Sully's apartment. I'll argue with you on that one a little bit. I mean, because of how much of a, I don't want to say pushover, but Mike is, I could really see that being Mike's place and it having turned into that. And Mike doesn't need much at all.
Yeah.
So it just all he needs is that little chair. And we didn't even see his bedroom. I bet you it's very minimalistic.
Now, see, that's like this is that level of minutia that is completely unnecessary to the story. But I'm like, whose apartment is it? Is it both of theirs? Oh, jumping back to the opening
Uh-huh.
within that space. We're within the same setting.
Yeah.
Twins in a bunk bed is an A plus gold star get.
Wait a minute, that's Mike's room. Mike has bunk beds.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Hold on. Why does Mike have bunk beds? Wait a
Why
minute. Okay. Maybe I'm Mike Wazowski, because until I was 18 years old, hey mom, we're gonna bring you up. My mom had me sleeping in a bunk bed, which is just goes to tell you that I had like countless girlfriends, because all the girls were like, yo, dude, Sean got a bunk bed. Let's go over here at his house. We could all take naps. It'd be sweet, dude. So yeah, maybe he was just really cool like me in high school.
Let's see. So then they wrap Boo up in a chair in a recliner.
Yeah, chair fabric, and use lamps,
Mhm.
light bulbs,
And then
and a mop.
Yeah. A mop and like little suction cups. And they take her to Monsters Inc. And
Yeah. Where she immediately goes in to talk to Water News. And you're like, what is wrong with this? And you start feeling, at this point in the movie, I'm really identifying with Mike. I'm really like, what is going, come on. Like, I'm with him. You know what I mean? Where it's just, I'm anxious. I'm prone to outbursts. And I'm having a great time.
So let's see, they go. This is where I get hazy. So like, you know how I told you that like my cousin watches a bajillion times? I have the movie up to this point like burned into my brain. But then we learn of the earlier points of Randall's plot.
Mm-hmm.
And him and Fungus, played by Frank Oz, another great cast.
Oh, I didn't realize that was Frank Oz. Yeah. That's solid.
And then, trying to think of what happens next. Is that when?
Oh, real quick, hold on, Miss Moda Disney. Yeah, no, we said that, but you can't really. It is his chair in the apartment, but also Mike has a chair in the apartment. So I mean, there's not really. I don't feel like that's.
We'll definitely double check. We'll definitely double check and report back later. But yeah, no,
and Sully doesn't have a car either. So I mean, Sully doesn't seem very responsible to be totally honest with you. I mean, he doesn't know how to file any kind of paperwork. So I don't think he knows how to get get a mortgage in line. That seems like something more of Mike's lane. Mike's got a car. Mike's over here getting. Yeah, I me's about paperwork. It seems like that's kind of his thing. He's better at it than. I mean, actually, it's not his thing. He's bad at it too. He can't file nothing. Ross told him.
Not with the paperwork.
They're renting. They're definitely renting. They're renting for sure. Okay, so he's going back.
Yeah, this is where my memory gets hazy. Is after they have the encounter with Randall in the locker room where they drop her off with the daycare group? Is that where they?
I think so. Yeah. Where he kind of. Yes, it is.
Mike Wazowski.
Mike Wazowski.
And then he gets bitten by the kid.
I feel like that's kind of a play on. This is like I feel every time I watch it on Mike Lowry. All right, Bad Boys 2. You kind of get this whole. You kind of realize like there is a little bit of synergy here between the two of them in the sense that you got Mike Lowry and then you got Martin Lawrence, and they're very. Mike Lowry is Will Smith's player in Bad Boys, and then I can't remember what Martin Lawrence's name is in it, but either way, just the idea of how Martin Lawrence is very Billy Crystal-y, and they're very similar, and then you got Sully, who's just like effortlessly cool. You know what I mean? Just like Will Smith is in that one, and there's a whole big scene with him going to Mike Lowry. And I feel like the Mike Wazowski thing is totally drawn from that.
Now I want to just see a movie where it's like during their off season, Mike and Sully are just busting crimes in Monstropolis in Florida.
Dude, that'd be so cool. A short where it's like that, they could totally do that. I'm good.
Miami Vice meets Bad Boys 2, and Sully in a big pastel suit, and Mike just like in Mike if he wore a suit, and I think Mike would just look like he'd look like David Byrne. Letting the days go by.
So where are we at next? Randall, what's Randall doing? I forget.
I think that's when there's like the pursuit where it's like Celia's chasing him and well, because there's the part
Yes, yes, yeah,
where
yeah, no, I'm getting
where
it. They're on the scare floor, and Mike says, "I don't know, man. Did you talk to so and so? He's got those shifty eyes." And he sends him off to talk to him, and then
Mhm.
that's when he looks back into the on the oh no, that's when Celia sees him and says, "You left me at sushi, blah blah," which turns it into the whole chase because then Randall
Yeah.
puts it all together.
hmm And then
They do a good job of covering up the big plot until you know the big plot, you
yeah.
know, because I really didn't. I didn't. I mean, I've seen it, so I knew, but you
hmm
don't. They don't do anything. Most of the other movies, Bugs Life, they tell you exactly basically what's going to happen in 10 seconds. A
hmm
bird's going to murk everything. Watch out
hmm
for the birds. You know what I mean? In this one, they don't really do that. In this one, you know, you don't know. You don't know what the big solution is going to be. You don't know what the big
Yeah.
problem is.
Yeah. And it's like even the hinting of them talking about like the concept of like all cryptozoology in our world are just banished monsters. I think that's it's just like there's so many levels of just like fun concepts where they're like, yeah, that'll work. That's it. That must have been a
Yeah,
fun writing room to exist within.
100%. Just to be inside
And
that thought bubble.
yeah. Um I'm just gonna. I think at this point, like I'm gonna jump around. Like we're gonna talk about it out of
Yeah.
order, but we're gonna get to the end. The scene where Sully thinks Boo is getting chopped into bits and mashed into a cube is some of them is some great character animation. Just like
Yeah, there's so. That's what I was gonna say. It's not even John Goodman, and it is because John Goodman's doing a great job of grunting and screaming in these
yeah,
moments. Which I don't know. Whoever the director, whoever the voice directors are on these films, is just got to get so much props because like when you watch, like I don't know, there's it reads so well. Whether
yeah,
like the best scene, the best of this, I could really when Jesse's introduced in Toy Story 2,
hmm
the energy that she brings, you know what I'm saying? I,
yeah,
I give Joan Cusack all the credit there for sure, but also like because there's been uh so many different people who have just given performance so many performances that have been so ecstatic and just read so well. I really got I don't know I want to look up whoever is the voice directors for these films. They're killing it because they're
mm,
inspiring people to be in these moments more so than any other animated film.
yeah. I'm trying to think of. I guess we'll just kind of chuck along forward where it's like they find the
We
underground.
never know it all the way up to water news.
Number one's here. Number one's here. Gentlemen. I
I thought
feel
it was
like we
kind
have.
of. I
I
was a
feel
little
like we.
displeased with the fact that it was the number two. They show you who number two is, and he's not cool at all.
Yeah, he's just got
I
the
thought
double
number two
head.
should be kind of. Yeah, so you remember two
Yeah.
exactly. I thought the same. Like I was sitting there watching, I was like, I felt like he could have been. If number one's Roz and she gets to walk around in the grandma sweater, number two could have at least got like a cape or like a
Yeah.
helmet or something, you know.
Little craft helmet. I feel like we both have like far too much time practicing
No.
the Roz voice. We
Marco, we
Sean.
lost you.
Hello, Sean. Should we do that? Should we do that? Like we should just do like today's episode is a review of Monsters Inc.
Sean and Marco in the morning.
That'd be a great podcast. Like, okay, sorry,
No, it
sorry.
wouldn't. It would be really bad. It
So
would
I
get.
have this terrible movie idea.
Mhm.
But we'll get back to the plot. We'll get back on track in a second. This is something I've
We
had
got
in my
time.
head since high school. You know how they have those? You know how they have comedians in cars getting coffee, and Jerry Seinfeld and this person. I would love to see a movie where it's a maybe not a real time, but like just like a fly on the wall documentary where it's Bobcat Goldthwait, Gilbert Gottfried, and Harvey Firestein in a car just talking.
No,
And then you would film a second
no,
documentary
no.
that
A
would be on this.
documentary on
Yeah,
it?
well, no. So you have the movie, you have that movie, and then you'd have a special of making of feature that just focused solely on the sound designer who's just sitting there listening to all that dialogue, going like,
Dude.
"This is not why I got into this business."
And we were able to actually narrate it using vocal clips of Jimmy Stewart.
Trying to think of like raspy boys characters.
Oh man.
It'd be
Okay, so huh?
no, I'm
What's
just
weird?
thinking about like none of my the Jimmy Stewart, Don Knotts. Every time I do it, someone's like, "Is that Don Knotts?" Whatever I'm trying to do,
Why can't it be both?
it's both. We ran into each other really hard the other day, and then it just, they did the fusion dance and just turned into the same. So we go into the underground portion of Monsters Inc. behind the
the basement. We're in the basement right now.
If I had a secret basement in my house, I would want it behind like a pegboard, tap like.
Yeah.
Tap.
Well, listen, we saw a pegboard.
Yeah.
Dang. I feel like those aren't. Like, I know, like no, nobody uses those in the garage anymore. I don't know what to use for it instead, but that used to be a thing. Like, let me hang up all these power.
I feel
tools.
like every dad's garage growing up when you go over your friend's house and they're like, "Can we play with the bicycles?" Yep, and like the bike was held up on a pegboard. It had these huge hooks on the side.
Yeah,
and like
we don't do that at all anymore.
Yeah.
So we got Randall going down there. We kind of see this first time we get introduced to the contraption. We don't know what it is yet or anything. We don't really see the way it's not set up, so we don't see how it's utilized or anything. We got Fungus, who at this point you could tell is really a minion. He's a real Igor type at this point. And everybody else kind of has a little of that going on, but not like him. He's a pushover. And it's weird how the positive disposition he has.
Yeah.
For how useless of an undertaking he's taking.
He's the what do they call him? I think they call him like a punch clock villain. It's just his job. He's like, "Yep, I'm there." Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Like he's got no idea that he's the bad guy, even though he's doing such terrible things. And I really don't understand how, at the end of the movie, he just kind of gets off scot-free.
Yeah.
When he's like the developer of the technology that was about to just murder a bunch of children.
I think he's like Molt, except like a couple pegs closer to evil, where it's like he's not reluctant to do evil because it's his job. He's the perfect bureaucratical stooge, where he's there to do a great job at whatever evil he's supposed to do.
He's just completely taken advantage of, but I mean, they utilize literally his skill, which is a trip. So we got that going on. We got Randall bossing him around. He really wants to find the kid. He needs to get the kid.
Yeah.
We got Boo, who's terrified at this point, absolutely terrified, and they do a great job. I think that this movie came out at the perfect time because they don't have these kind of human animations in Toy Story and Toy Story 2 yet. You know what I mean? They got a little bit going on with Jesse and the Roundup Gang, but nobody else really has these kind of like nobody else can emote the way that they are in this one. Like you were saying, that whole Sully scene with the trash thing and everything. Down to this one with Boo, when she's scared.
Yeah,
I'm scared.
Yeah, it's good where it's like it's because like humans have. I mean, just from the faces I've made, humans can make very scary faces and funny faces, and like there's a point where like I feel like when you're making someone scared, it's an extreme expression and you can push it too far. But then like this one it's like the only time that there's like an uncanny valley in this is when it's like you're noticing textures. It's not in the actual, like, it's not like a weird cross-eyed scared face. It's like, it's a kind of terrifying face. Like you feel for her in those moments. You're not reacting to how it looks. You're just like, that's scary. I'd be scared. That's how I would feel. The Scream Extractor is pretty gnarly. And then so like, I'm trying to think if we do see Fungus after this, after he gets like, because he gets placed in the Scream Extractor and we see how terrifying that is, what it does to him. Maybe that was his punishment. Maybe he's just like,
you didn't know he's actually a Kardashian. That's actually where they get the inspiration. It inspired them all.
That sounds about right. Let's see, checking the messages real quick. Craft rooms now at pegboards. Yes, I was gonna say like craft rooms, and I see a lot of pegboard at artist alleys at conventions. Speaking of which, I'm looking into some places. I'm looking into spots. I gotta figure out like where the truck's gonna appear next, where it's safe. But more on that later. Scream Extractor. I think at that point they go to Waternoose directly, and that's where things take a turn.
Give me 1 sec. I'm going to go ahead and readjust my camera.
Yeah, no worries. So I think at that point is when they're like, we need to talk to you, Waternoose. And he's like, yeah. Do your training thing. Put the kid over there. And then, so I would say this is the one time where Boo wandering into where she isn't supposed to be while
Works out.
yeah, it does, like for the most part it works. It puts her in dangerous situations, but it always works out for her in the end. And then in this moment, it turns where she faces the full brunt of Sully's roar, which is like good sound design, good like to see Sully go from like John Goodman with fur to a lion, tiger, bear, oh my, all wrapped into one turquoise. Um, it's a great scene. It's this like real emotional moment, which is then you're thinking, okay, Waternoose up to this point has been your typical CEO, in that he's like, I'm going to do whatever I can for the company, but I'm here for he's the father figure to Sully. So the whole time they're setting you up for this payoff that you think is going to be good, and then when it turns, you're just like it's just, when it rains, it pours. Not only is he like, oh, there's a kid, that's crazy. Well, I guess we'll help you. We're gonna throw you into the Himalayas.
Yeah. Well,
and
and then also, he's the reason I feel like why you trust him, because I mean, like, I don't trust him at all, because what I said earlier, the way he sounds is he just sounds like he went to prep school. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell immediately, like, okay, this is Pixar says these guys are bad. But the reason why you don't feel that way is because John Goodman and him have very similar, like, their voices are in similar vocal ranges.
Yeah.
And so it would make sense if that John Goodman was his son. Like, it just, the trust there, if you audibly feel it,
Yeah.
And then when he does take that leap into being bad, like, he doesn't just take a leap into being bad. He takes a leap into being absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
We talked about how
evil.
Woody was going to push Buzz into being shelved essentially. This is way worse than being shelved.
Yeah.
This is they don't know, nobody, the Loch Ness Monster and the Abominable Snowman haven't come back.
Yeah. And so finding out, like, not only were Mike and Sully bamboozled, that Waternoose was in cahoots with Randall the whole time, is like, it's revelation thrown into the Himalayas. And then you encounter
well, it's a wonderful reveal of the big bad. You know what I mean? Because to that point, you don't know. They do a good job. At first, you think this is a movie where it's like Randall's just trying to up his scare numbers. You know what I mean? And then in terms of, no, Randall's got some new technology, new thing he's working on. It's going to hurt kids.
Yeah.
No. Monsters Inc. has been in on it and is sponsoring the whole thing.
Yeah. And it just
and we talked about how big Monsters Inc. was, right? So that means that all that is actually behind this whole thing. You know what I mean? And even though, and then Waternoose, he's slippery, man. The move of pushing him out there and all that stuff, Sully's no slouch. He's not a pushover, literally. Like, he's way too big. So, I mean, the fact that he has the strength to do that says something off the top.
And he's like an old veteran scare. He's in his older days. He's got a suit vest. He's got a 3-piece suit. Who knew? John Ratzenberger.
He really gives me the vibes of Lord Farquaad, though. Some of you may die, but that's a consequence I'm willing to live. Whoever says.
Yeah, and they get introduced to the abominable (parentheses adorable) snowman.
Welcome to the Himalayas.
Snow cone. It's lemon.
Are we gonna cover that?
The snow cones or lemon snow cones?
I mean, you tell me, man. You tell me.
Well, he just said, he goes, "Don't worry, it's lemon." And like, where's he getting lemons in the Himalayas? He's sneaking into town, and he's
man. I'm just saying, they don't say it, but it feels mighty like he's making those homemade. Anyways,
I don't think the abominable snowman has gone full Howard Hughes just yet.
It feels like he really has, though, dude. It really does.
And then so they're in his little cave, and you see the crux, one of the cruxes of the film, where it's Mike and Sully's friendship coming to a head, and that conflict, and it's just. Which
can we talk? Do you think where are you on this? Is Sully a good friend, bad friend, neutral? Had to take care of some other business? Because I'm in a weird spot where I feel kind of like Sully's being a really terrible friend to Mike, who's normally a really good friend to Sully.
Yeah, I think it's I think his actions in this storyline are very much, they're contained within the story. It's like he's a good friend, and it's something about this kid and making sure she gets back safely. I think it's a valiant cause, but yeah, at what cost? Like
Mm-hmm.
that. And Mike is trying to be the realist in that. But I think at the end, like Mike knows it's the right thing to do. I definitely probably should take notes on that and whatnot. But like, just like, yeah, no, like I think there are certain scenes where it's like Mike's kind of taking like the brunt of the abuse,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot at stake. But then at the same time, like I don't think Mike's like leave the kid in the world and we can just do our own thing. Like there's like it's never stated as that, but it's like there
Well, he
are.
does do that. He does it a couple times, to be honest. Because when they're first trying to get rid of the kid and
Yeah.
everything, he pulls down a fake door. It's what? It's in there. And if they're playing the polka
Mhm.
music from John Candy, whatnot, it's.
Mhm. Yeah. Ah, gosh, yeah. Like
I feel like here's where I'm at with that. I feel
Mhm.
like Mike is going through. He's a bit more extroverted, and it seems like the issues he has, he normally tells you what's going on.
Mhm.
Sully seems like he kind of sits on things. Like he doesn't really. Things don't make their way to the surface as much. He kind of just takes it because he's a big teddy bear. He could take it.
Mhm.
And then what ends up happening here is that Mike is losing everything he's worked really hard for,
Mhm.
and slowly looks at all of it as like it's all you can get it all back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Outside, the one part that hurt me the most is when he was talking about what's his girlfriend's name?
Celia.
Celia. He's talking about Celia. What about Celia? I'm never gonna see her again.
Mhm.
That's where I was like, all right, like Sully's gotta. You gotta say so because that whole scene is that quiet right there. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Where there's just all this silence.
Yeah.
And it plays off so well because if you've ever been in that conversation with somebody that you don't want to be in, and you're talking about stuff that you don't want to talk about,
Mhm.
and you have to talk about it, and one person doesn't seem very that present,
Mhm.
it feels like everything just hangs,
Yeah.
just right in the air, and you don't know what words you're gonna say next, so you wait for them to come to you, and like that's what felt like it was happening with those two, especially with Sully, and like it felt like you said, he felt the obligation, he had this valiant this mission that he
Mhm.
had undertaking he had to take on, and he just needed Mike to understand it, but also like he knew he was hurting Mike.
Mhm.
He knew it. He knew it very much so. You could
Mhm.
see it in his eyes, which is once again testament to Pixar and their wonderful animation because
Yeah.
you could see it in his eyes. What?
Mhm.
Phenomenal, and like when he leaves and everything, that the way that the way they cut that out, Pixar does it. I mean, maybe it's right on the cusp of a little too much without explanation for me. It's right on the cusp. Because when Mike just shows up again and is just like apologizing and stuff, like
Mhm.
my thing there is like Sully still owes him some real apologies,
Yeah.
you know? And like for Mike to do that the way he did it and just show up and all that unexplained, I kind of felt like I would normally want like just a little more explanation. I want to be in it more, understand why did Mike decide he was going to go down the mountain after him? You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Because like when Sully left, it seemed terrible. Good.
Yeah. I think the friendship um persevered. It if it's meant to be, they're gonna work it out. And I think like it took some time to get through that like moment. And but yeah, how did just the thought of Mike like crashing into that town, being like, "I need a door," and just like running through.
Yeah, dude. He probably just like ruined monsters for everybody. Everybody knows they're real now.
There's just a short where he's like, "Hello, everyone. Here's what's going on. The plot up
That'd
until
be
now."
so good. Why is it not a short? That
I'm
should
not
so be a
sure,
short.
but they get back. There's the snowball fight. Mike is packing a lot of snowballs. He threw like 6 snowballs.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah, I know. He's way too dramatic.
yeah, he's like, "I'm packing heat. I'm packing some cold
Are
heat."
you even listening to me here? And that's the thing too. Is like that's the thing. Once again, we're going in the Pixar circle here, right?
Hmm.
Sully's listening to Mike in the cave, and Mike's pouring his heart out, and he's saying, "I'm trying my best here, man." He's
Hmm.
leveling with him. He's like, "Dude," and Moto, who's Miss Moto Disney?
Yes.
Try my best. I'm gonna call you Miss Moto. Um, I think you're right. Sully does have morals, and Mike does seem all about winning, keep things normal. But Mike's also, his number one priority to this point has been Sully over everything. When you look at it, he prioritized Sully over his love, making sure Sully was okay. And I know it seems like it's about winning. I don't think so. Like it does. Like his goal is to get everything back to normal because he wants his life to be normal again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not get back to normal so he can win the scare record. It's get back to normal so he can have the love of his life again. So he can be back to feeling like he's winning again. Back to
Just
feeling
everything was like falling apart at that. Like everything fell apart when the kid came in. Yeah, it's like it's a good movie to think about, like what you endure, how much will you tolerate within a certain amount in a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
It's neat. It's neat.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I feel like we all have different tolerances for people.
Yeah.
Like you get these relationships in your life, and some people, they can do no wrong. You know what I mean? There's certain people in your life, whether it's family or whether it's friends that become family or whatever, they come into your life and they can prank you, they can make mistakes, they can do whatever, but at the end of the day, they're exactly who they were yesterday to you. You know what I mean? No matter what they do today. And I think that's really what you get here with Mike and Sully, in the sense that I know it seems like I know what you're saying, Miss Moto. Mike's over here just trying to he's overlooking so much of Sully's feelings, but he's really just trying to help Mike. Mike's really trying to help Sully. Sully's kind of in his own way here. If we would have gone about this with cooler heads, this kid probably wouldn't be here right now. But because we're all scared, because Sully's scared and acting scared, it's affecting everybody. When you act out of fear, it doesn't normally turn out very well. And that's what you're seeing here. And I mean, I'll just to kind of give it the payoff. The big payoff here is honesty. You know what I mean? Because when Roz asks him, I'm jumping forward, but when Roz asks Sully, what do you want? And he says, I just want the kid to go back home safe.
Yeah.
And she says, go get me the door and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the happy ending, but also it's only reason that happens is because everything's come to light. There's no more lies. There's no more anything. Here's exactly what it is. You know what I mean? And otherwise they were out to get this what is it, CDC? CPA? What is that?
CDA.
CDA. Put them together. Anyways, this is the first time where they go from being an antagonist to a protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways,
they get back to the monster world. They try to put Boo back in her room while being chased by Water News, which
and Randall.
Randall's sneaky and slinky and stuff, but Water News there's a shot where it's when he's running after him and it's there's light beaming through him and he's just every leg. It's such good animation. It's terrifying. I would not want James Coburn chasing after me.
I feel like it really reminded me of he's got the athleticism of someone like a Bo Jackson. It's otherworldly. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's just like an ex-football player who's still in the prime, or is still
better than everybody else.
Yeah,
but he's not as good as he was.
Yeah, he's not as good as he used to be, but he can still be better than everyone.
It's Michael Jordan as an owner in the NBA. He's still giving his team buckets probably.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you wouldn't want to be chased by.
Yeah, and they go back to the room from the very beginning, unknown to you.
I love that. Well, we're skipping a couple things. There's some really great gags that happen when they're running away and they're in the 1,000 doors. And that 1,000 million door scene, all that is so well animated, because honestly, I couldn't see one thing that looked identical to another in there.
Yeah.
Which was something I was really looking for, because you watch A Bug's Life and you see 1,000 of the same ants and you get it, and you think that's kind of probably why they decided to go with ants, is because they're easier to animate. But this one, doors, I get you can just change the colorways in a lot of them, and I'm sure that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
But they do a great job of making nothing look monotonous at all. Even down to the scenes when they go into the doors, the gags of them jumping in from door to door, so cool. So cool.
Yeah, and then when they...
why is it not a ride? Why is it not a ride? Why is that not a ride?
A lot of people...
hold the door.
Well, I think what's great is people have said, make a suspended coaster. And I'm like, that is the one time that, for the most part, I don't think Disney has a suspended coaster anywhere. And I'm like, that would be, that's the one time where thematically it works. Or
Okay,
you'd
here we
be
go, Marco. I'm gonna
yeah,
break
yeah.
it down for you.
Oh yeah.
Suspended coaster, okay?
Hmm.
You're sitting there, your legs are dangling, okay?
Hmm.
But right below your legs is like a little wedge, and on the back of your chair, so your chair's like this, the
Hmm.
back of your chair like that is the door, okay? The
Mm,
door's
okay.
got a little bit of movement to it, so like it wiggles or something with the wind, so you feel like it's on it, and it looks like on the back it's hanging up on like
Hmm.
the track, or whatever. So it looks like from behind it's
Oh,
just
so
doors
it's
swinging
actually
through.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's on like a
I
little
get
pitch
you.
angle. So from when you're looking up at it, it looks like it's just doors flying around.
Hmm.
But really, just sitting on a chair on top of it.
That'd be
Just saying.
it'd be bonkers. It'd be interesting for them, but it's like, man, to make like a thrill ride based on Monsters Inc. Like that's the thing is like
That'd
you
be
could do.
so cool.
It would be funny if Disney did like some kind of park where all it was just like we're gonna do gnarly rides based on our properties, where it's like we're gonna do the Lion King. Like
As long as they have the guy who voices the Buzz Lightyear commercial do the commercial for it, I'm good.
Wednesday, come to the third gate of
Buzz Lightyear.
crazy, crazy stuff coming. It's just Christian Bale. They just hired Christian. Are you gonna go to this park? Yeah, swear to me. But, there's some really fun gags in the. Sorry, my memory is kind of hazy with the physics of the door scene where they're jumping through doors and like they throw it on the ground and then Mike jumps in straight down and then falls on his head and goes, yeah.
Mike.
Oh, that was weird. And then like they're running through France, they're running through Japan,
That France scene, I've seen that room and it makes me feel. It reminds me of. Maybe I'm wrong, but okay. Keenan and Kel back in the day when he would be in the tub, just drinking lemonade, right?
Yeah, it's like your typical. It's a like
no, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That scene looks like when they go to France, it looks exactly like that, like what they did for that scene. Tell me.
Yeah, no,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, like the old Parisian apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Probably that's probably like them running in the background of Ratatouille or something. Ding, 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 ding.
And then it connects to the Toy Story airport scene.
Oh, like the roller coaster.
Yeah. That'd be so tight.
That'd be gnarly.
It goes into the thing. That would be dope.
Like it goes from a roller coaster into like a log flume ride or something.
Yeah,
it'd be crazy.
Thrill ride Pixar Land sounds really rad. If Pixar ever like decides to like branch away from Disney, I feel like that's a way they could keep making money. They'll take my money that way at least.
That'd be bonkers.
So yeah, all those gags of the way the physics and everything jumping through there. We get to Paris, Japan. That was really sweet. It slides, Sully.
Yeah, because they're shadows at the door. It's like, and then so in the
now we get to water news. He's in that
room. I'm gonna touch on something real quick and then we'll jump to water news. Boo overcomes her fear of Randall, hits him over the head with a wiffle ball bat. Great noises. Then they
great textures there as well. Great textures.
Mike and Sully give Randall their own brand of banishment by throwing him through a door that sends him to what looks like the exact same swampy area from A Bug's Life.
Yep.
There's a gator, another gator. Give me the shovel.
So like, I'm pretty sure Randall's dead.
he's either that or he's a crypto in the
Randall
swamp.
is 10,000% gumbo. He's for sure gumbo. Yeah.
Monster gumbo.
Randall has now been turned into jambalaya.
That'd be something bonkers to add to the menu at like the Lamplight Lounge where it's just like purple gumbo. Monster gumbo.
That would be so dark if they really did it. Oh my gosh.
Sean,
what do you think happened to Randall?
But I think between the two of us, you are more culinary inclined, and I think we need to do like.
I can make you some monster gumbo.
I think we need to do a Sean Beeman test kitchen where it's just like, today we're gonna make some monster gumbo, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna dive some of the meat nice.
Well, here's what we're gonna do. First thing you're gonna want to do is you're gonna brown your meat in some grease. I like to use bacon fat for flavor.
Got you could do like purple and orange rice in the jambalaya.
Yeah.
Here you go. Purple, actually
Ratatouille
gray.
sewer water slide. Okay, Anna's on she's got all the rides for us right now. We got another Imagineer in the making right here.
Yeah, we gotta do an episode where it's just fun stuff like that. Like I know we're set on this track, but like we gotta do like a goofy fun episode soon.
For sure.
I'm getting more used to my class schedule. Learning business law. This week we're learning litigation and arbitration.
That sounds very interesting,
Oh
Marco.
yeah,
Can you
real,
give me
real.
about 25 minutes? Just a quick synopsis, quick
Yeah,
25
here
minute
we go.
synopsis of what you
So
guys
in a court of law, you see.
talking
We haven't watched Ratatouille yet. We're watching the movies in order, so we're gonna get to we got
No, but she means have I seen it in general yet? And
oh,
no,
oh.
I still have not seen Ratatouille, and I'm saving it for literally for the podcast.
This is
I
gonna
really
be
I'm saving it for Marco, to be honest. I feel
it's
like
gonna
it's
be
just fun to-
wild. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm really big, and you know this, Anna. I love cooking, so like it's gonna be a good time watching that one. I already know it. I'm excited.
It's gonna be fun.
So okay, also real quick, Boo, is she OP? Is she a powered or something? Is she one of the Incredibles? Is that Violet? Like what's going on here? Just because like she knocks the crud out of Randall, and Randall's supposed to be a gangster. He almost took Sully out.
I think Randall is I would say Randall is like an assassin where he is skill he has a certain set of skills and he can, wrap himself around Sully and, use himself as a garrote and then like he can like slink around and like he can outrun someone. I feel like he's fast, but when it comes to like pure power, now I get it. Boo is like a 4-year-old child with a plastic bat, but I don't know the exact like scientific term for this. But I feel like how they had those scenarios in which like a 5 foot nothing 100-pound mom will lift a car like in certain crisis
Yeah.
situations. Let's just assume that Boo was running on pure
That makes sense.
toddler adrenaline.
That's what I needed, Marco. That's what I needed. Okay, because I was sitting here thinking like plot hole. I don't get it.
Like I think like
I
because
get you. That makes way more
it's kind of
sense.
like baby
Grandma's
snakes.
picking up cars and shit. I
Yeah,
got
it's
you.
like an adult snake only knows how much poison to put into someone when it bites, but a baby snake just puts all the poison. And
I
they're
got
more
you.
dangerous. So it's like you got a baby with a baseball bat, or you've got like a guy who's doing his job. Baby with a baseball bat might take him out. Just like
Also, toddler strength is a real thing.
yeah,
Toddler
baby
strength is a
strength.
real thing.
Baby
Yeah,
strength on that finger.
I believe it.
It's like
I believe it.
um,
Okay. What? Oh, I was gonna say. Oh, I lost it. There was something you covered that I wanted to go back on real quick, but I forgot it was. Randall. I think
who's
it's
OP?
Randall. I don't know. Yeah, I lost it. You go. Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah, it's all good. We get back. The water news tries to take Boo. They go back to the room that they think they're in, and then it turns out to be the training room from the beginning, which is great.
Now, who do you think came up with that plan? I think it had to have been Mike that came up with that plan because
Yeah,
it wasn't. It was Sully who gets like the light bulb, but it had to have been Mike who was like, okay, well, here's how we're gonna do it.
Yeah, triggering.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
Sully's had.
Yeah, because with Mike being behind the desk, he's sitting there waiting with the timing, and like, man, I don't know when they had a chance to plan it, but boy, did it come together right. But I think like.
Well, I think how about this? They could have had time because Pixar theory time. That's what I want to talk about a little bit. Two things. Remind me to go back to the where Randall gets sent to for Bug's Life. I think.
Yeah.
But also, the time thing. So like, we don't know the way these doors operate. They don't really break down the science of that, and it might be that they're not going back just to another world. They might be going to another time. And so maybe they have more time there. Time might move differently when they're coming back, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because like even like when they first get banished, they're able to get back to Boo fairly quickly.
Yeah,
fairly quickly. Nothing's happened to Boo yet, whereas they've been sent to a whole other plane. We'll call it that. So like, and then also going back to Randall's thing. Okay, so we talked about how with the Pixar theory, it seemed like everything was desolate, but then at the same time, there was somebody living. At least at that residence that it shows in this movie, in this film. And at this point, we get to see the people who are living there. And I will say that it doesn't look any less overgrown than it did in A Bug's Life. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. It looks pretty similar, if not identical, I'd say, which tells me that he went to whatever time in which which kind of puts a tiny hole, perhaps, unless that door was set to a different time. But tiny hole perhaps in the whole when a bug's life happened.
Yeah. That would be interesting. I don't like I haven't gone into Pixar theory full bore, but time.
Neither am I, man.
Time to game over. Time is a construct. So we live in a society, and so with water news thwarted at the end, they need to find an alternate source, and then alternate. The scream shortage will only get worse, and it's all because of you, and they have to figure out, light bulb, and then
the perfect villain is always somebody who you can feel for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always the person who thinks they're doing good, and in this case, Waternoose totally thinks that he feels bad when he has to do what he did to Sully.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, does he feel as bad as he should? Probably not. No, but he definitely feels bad, and he thinks he's saving the world, and in that moment is when Sully realizes that there is a way to save the world.
Yeah, and good, very good point, Miss Moto. That like Waternoose is so dead set on getting Sully that he doesn't notice that he's running. He doesn't recognize it, and I think it's sometimes too. Though I wonder, okay, gonna dive into the minutia. Buckle up. I think what's interesting with it is the fake out that happens on the audience and the fake out that happens in the world. I think is interesting because perhaps their plan was to connect it to the working machine that would have, but it didn't. So they made it work for them by leading. They're like, well, it's just it works. It works out, and it's a great plot point. It's neat. It's like,
it's a circle.
Yeah,
they do. They kill me with the circles. I love it.
Yeah,
everything always runs right back.
Poetry.
Well, they don't waste time. There's no wasted effort, no wasted movement in a Pixar movie. When they show you something, it's there for a reason. Which is why you get the whole Pixar theory. It catches so much traction because there's not wasted effort in Pixar films. Which also real quick, the human modeling on that child, phenomenal from where they're at in Toy Story. Phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like, we no longer have bulbous heads anymore. The eyes read way better. There's a lot more movement in the mouth that kind of reads more humanistic and everything. Just phenomenal. And then when Waternoose doesn't notice and everything, I thought what was really rad was just the way that Sully really walks it. This is the first time you're seeing Sully be clever. You know what I mean? And the way he walks him into all the statements is absolutely perfect. You know what I mean? He's wearing the wire, and everyone sees it. And I love how Mike is just so smug on the other side of it. Let's go back to my favorite part, shall we?
Doing video DJ stuff. Sean, you got to make a beat out of that loop, that Waternoose loop. It's a Daft Punk tribute. Yeah.
R.I.P.
Oh man. So Mike's comedy routine. Of course, I was the ball.
I laugh. You know what's great is that's when all the parents start laughing and all the kids go, "What's going on?
What's going on? Best 4 or 5 years of my life."
Which is exactly what they want to happen. He's like, "Okay, kid, here we go."
I have 100% used the line, "These are the jokes, kid." I've used that in real life. There's so many times.
I can see a photo pass.
You say something, "These are the jokes." Okay, all right. You just keep going. And the concept that monsters incorporate. So sorry, they head back out. He's having a good day. The fact that that laughter is more potent than scream. There's a giant scream laugh canister. That's just such a fun, happy ending. I think that's
it really is, and it really opens up for. I will say they have a great attraction, Disney World. If you haven't been there before, the laugh floor, the scream floor, the scream floor, laugh floor.
Laugh floor, Monsters Inc. laugh floor.
The laugh floor is absolutely hilarious. It's totally worth it. I had the time of my life. I was very upset that my jokes didn't get picked. They were a bit adult themed, but I understand. But I'm just saying that we were talking all about how we wish they did these roller coasters and stuff. Man, they did a great job on. What's up? What do you think?
I'm thinking
of
an adult themed Monsters Inc. laugh floor. Late night.
Oh, it's bad. It'd be so good. It'd be so good. They do whatchamacallit all the time. I'm sure grad nights and stuff. It'd be so hilarious. So get that payoff. It's a happy ending. What's great about this happy ending is it's actually happy. You know, Pixar does a pretty good job thus far of giving us actual happy endings. It's not like happy ending with like a little extra. Outside of Toy Story, everything always is kind of like, that's the end. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which was why it was even more. I didn't see the sequel or prequel coming. You know what I'm saying? The whole idea. Then they went the opposite direction to be able to give us more content, which I thought was wonderful as well.
Mm-hmm. Man, college monster life. That'll be fun when we get to it.
Oh yeah,
cover that movie.
Uzma.
And then we've got like the kind of coda to the film where there's a happy ending. You know, Sully is nostalgic by having that one little piece of the door, of Boo's door, that got shredded.
Can you see me? Oh, there we go. Sorry.
You know, yes, yeah. You cut up for a half second. He's good. But like Sully still has that little piece of Boo's door, and then Mike's like, "I got a surprise. Like, come this way." And even in the moment where it's the reveal, where it's like, "Look, I went and reassembled this door, and it's a lot of splinters." You know, it's just like there's still that humor coming through in that scene, and
it's Billy Crystal humor too. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well,
puts that one piece in. Oh, wait, yeah.
We didn't cover the Easter eggs when he drops her off the first time. When he drops her off and he has to leave her, there's a lot of Easter eggs in there. We got Jessie the cowgirl doll, who I don't know why she stands out so much. Like they really just took the exact coloring and animation from Toy Story and probably pasted it in there.
Model, yeah.
Yeah, and it reads really well in there. It's really cool. Like it looks like the coolest toy. And then we get to see before we've ever seen him.
Yep.
Nemo makes his first appearance.
And it's crazy when you watch it because, like, at that time, like, I don't think anyone was aware of that. Like, it wasn't, like, common knowledge. And I just think it's funny because it's like, you look at it, you're like, oh, a clownfish toy. Cool. And then the next movie came out, you're like, wait a second. And then now
I didn't know. I didn't know for years, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I had no clue because of the timing of it, I had no idea that it did that. And then, like, when you go back and watch it now, I'm like, oh, that's
wild.
Cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
so we get the splinter. They put the splinter in there. Then what?
Door opens, and you got the little Boo's theme, Sully playing, and the last line of the movie. Yep. And then it ends on him smiling, and then that's it. And I think
I'm about to cry right now. I'm so happy.
It's so good. It's so good because it's like it gives you the closure without giving you anything more. That's all you. This is what you get. That's all you need to know. And what happens after? Who knows? But it's happy, most likely. You know, and that's the thing when people are saying
it's
like,
happy.
And like when people say like, oh, there should be a Monsters Inc. 2. There's a lot of sequels and stuff where it's very much like, okay, we have solved the main issue from the first film, but guess what? Another problem has arrived, and it's like, let these characters be happy. Like, I don't know if it's like the past like 6 years when I watch shows, I'm like, even like I'm watching Stranger Things, and I'm just like, I just want these kids to have a life. Like, let them have a normal life. Let them be happy.
No, Will's doomed. I'm sorry. If you haven't watched the rest,
I know. I'm like, I'm on. Yeah. It's like even at the end of season 3, I was like, oh, I'm worried, but just I want these people. Like, they're all so good. Let them be happy. Yeah. So I think. Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't like them to do a sequel. If they do a sequel to this, if they do, I mean, put it this way, I didn't want to do Toy Story 4. I was really happy with it. So maybe they know something I don't. Which I mean, maybe they're better storytellers than me. I guess, but
perhaps.
But right now I don't see it. I think that the going the opposite direction with the prequel was incredibly smart. I think you can make a new story about new characters in that universe. That's allowed. But I don't think you get Billy Crystal and John Goodman together unless you want to do a cameo in it.
Well, they're doing the Disney Plus series, Monsters at Work, and there's still details sifting through of what, who, and how that's going to work out, because it's going to be about them working the scare floor or the laugh floor. Where in the timeline does it fall in? That's something I could probably consult my friends about and be like, hey, what's going on here? You know, where does it take place? But I think a lot. I think this is the last movie that they animated specific bloopers and actually did extra and used during the credits. I think because the next film was Finding Nemo, and I don't think they had any kind of like
Nope.
gag reel.
What's after Nemo? No, they don't.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So like there are some really fun gags, some really fun, Roz just popping
So
out
good.
everywhere, and like just like that kind of stuff cracks me up, and then like
It's effort.
Yeah, and it's like there's some funny special features in this movie. Like they have, I think on the DVD, maybe on Disney Plus. I hope on Disney Plus, they have the put that thing back where it came from, or So Help Me musical. It's great. It's like a 5-minute short of them just like Broadway.
I'm gonna get off this and turn it on right now. I didn't know that was on there. I'm so excited.
I hope it's.
I'm sure I've
Disney
seen it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of other things to jump back to in general with the movie. It's just like
Has there been a movie since that's been as musical?
I mean, I mean,
in the Pixar realm. I mean,
I would say like
Coco.
Well, like when it comes to jazz, I mean, it's like the score that Michael Giacchino did for Incredibles is like crazy bonkers Bond music. That's wild stuff. Like, but like I think but like lush and rich score, I'd say Coco's real like kind of chugs along with
I just
that.
mean like there's only Incredibles is a good one. There's only a couple of them that are really driven by music first, and I think Incredibles is a solid one because there's a lot of dead space in Incredibles where it's just music and action, and I think that's a good point. This is one of the only ones where like there's a lot of space in this movie where there's no dialogue, and I think that that's really filled by music and by character animation in this film, and it's a huge leap, man. You can't do that in animated films unless you have something really riveting on the screen, because as the audience, we'll lose interest real quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that sums up most of the film. I have like one talking point I need to add, but once we get to the near the conclusion, we're almost coming up to 2 hours at this point. But
I'm there, man. Whatever you want.
I like it. Thank you. Let's see, we got a note in the message. Of course. You're welcome. Thank you for tuning into these. Thank you, everyone who keeps checking in every Tuesday. I'm glad that we're able to keep this consistent schedule. It's pretty neat. And one thing that we forgot to mention last week, I forgot to mention, we both kind of. So when we started these, we sent out an email to the old crew asking who would want to crash land, and we have a couple friends that are going to crash land. It's mostly just a matter of picking which movie they want to commentate on. So I have to follow up with them, but there's a chance we will get a couple guest stars in the next couple weeks. And Sean, I'll go over. There'll be no surprises. I'll call you. You'll know.
You could surprise me. That'd be kind of fun.
We got someone coming in. A Muppet News Flash.
Dude, don't. I've watched it all now. I'm all the way caught up on the Muppets.
There's a lamb on the loose that has been taught to attack at the sound of a phone ringing.
Oh no, he's on the.
Oh
lamb.
no! That's the Muppet News Flash guy. He's one of my favorite voices. Just Muppet News Flash.
Hey Marco, that wasn't half bad.
You're
right.
It was all bad.
It was all bad.
No. Sean, you remember when Logan and I talked about we wanted to like host the school talent show as Waldorf and Statler, and the school was like,
that'd be so
and we're
good.
like, it would have been great.
No, here's the thing. Honestly, what it comes down to is that we were just a really funny mean back then. We thought we were funny, but we were kind of mean. Because that video you sent me, here we go, breakdown time. So Marco sends me the video of my Mr. Griffin, whatever it is, the
Mr. School's Mr. Personality kind of thing.
And so my idea for a video was from back in the day. You might remember the old PC versus Mac commercials, and it would be Justin Long, and he goes, "Hey, I'm Mac," and it'd be some like disheveled white guy.
John Hodgman comes in. Hi, I'm the PC,
and he's like just not. He's like freezing and like just doesn't. He's not good at whatever it is that they're doing. He's just not good at it. And so I did my entire video was me as the Mac, and then all of my contestants were the PC, and I roasted them, but it's really cringy.
It was a roast. But
It was
here's the
bad.
thing that I think was so funny about it is like all of the jokes were like we went to every one of them and we're like, hey guys, we're doing a video. This is the joke. And they're like, that's funny. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, it's not like we
At the
weren't going
time,
after their
it read way better. It really
yeah.
did. Also, quality read way better. But I'm looking at it. I'm like, we just put 2 white sheets up. We didn't clip them very well.
On a bookshelf and
Yeah, dude, it was
threw
just.
some lights.
Oh man, it's so hilarious. It's
It's
hilarious. 'Cause I didn't. I remember at the time I was like, I don't care. I'm just trying to make people laugh.
yeah, and like it's goofy. And I just think what was funny though is like we even went to like our school administration, whatever, and we're like, everyone we've spoken to is okay with these jokes, and they're like, no. And we're like, okay. And
I'm
I don't
glad they
remember.
did, to be honest. I don't. I'm
Yeah,
glad that doesn't happen because
I,
I'd have known for
we
something.
did. Yeah, we did another one. There was another video, like we reshot it or something. I
Yeah,
don't have that file anywhere. I don't
that
know.
one
I
was
gotta
bad. That's because I was mad. The whole thing. We did it in like 4 hours.
10 seconds. Yeah, it was like a
Yeah.
real quick one. Yeah, we'll be bringing in some of the old crew, the OG crew. Um,
Hmm.
and I know I keep saying it, like I still need to do my sticker broadcaster. Like we need to do like our free for all one where
Yeah.
it's just people asking questions. Like I know these are very structured. Everyone who's tuning in, thank you for bearing with us when we get into like our kind of like chug along mode. But
Hmm.
yeah. So next week we're going to be doing Finding Nemo. So
Nemo
prepare
for all of you Latin speakers.
mhm.
Buscando
prepare
Nemo.
prepare for many a nautical pun. Ahoy there. Um,
And I might even touch the butt.
oh no. Shark bait. Ooh ha ha. No, no,
Are
no,
you
no.
are you on the top? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you on the top?
Hey
Yeah,
Sean,
okay,
get
cool.
down.
I will not.
Don't. We got to do like a thing where it's like you got a water bottle, Sean? You got a water bottle? Hold on, I'm gonna
Yeah.
drop my. Yeah, you ready? Ready? 1, 2, hoop.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's changed. We gotta prepare some gags. You throw something.
I was like,
Wait,
I don't
wait,
know how to
wait.
like. I'm like,
Wait, just
oh,
throw
do
the
it
water
again,
bottle.
do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again.
No, you got you. Oh wait, hold.
Okay,
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
it, okay.
Yeah, well, I'll throw it down, and then
You drop it,
I'll throw it
back.
down, and then you throw it back up in a second. Ready? 1, 2, hop. Ready?
That was fast,
Go,
man.
yeah.
One,
Pretty instantaneous.
2,
Yeah, just
3.
you know. It's
I gotta throw it out.
Ta-da! All right, so everybody, thanks for tuning in. I think we're gonna wrap it up here, but we're gonna probably do another extra broadcast sometime, maybe this week or next week. But tune in next week for Finding Nemo. I've been testing the absolute limit of my announcer voice by using a walk-in closet to buffer the outside noise. But we'll see you next week. See you next week, everybody.
Thanks,
Signing
y'all.
off.
Have a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Peace.